Okay, so on the Buret, and if you guys can draw this on your notes, that would be great. Okay, let's draw, I guess, a hypothetical Buret. You got that column, right? And if you guys remember, there's lines on the Buret, right? So let's start with like number 1 right here. There's like a big line that says 1. And then do you guys remember seeing these small lines on it? Yeah. Okay, so each one of these lines represents 0.1 milliliter increments, okay? So as you go down, the numbers get bigger, okay? So it'll be 1. This is 1.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we get to 2. Okay, you guys remember seeing something like this on the Buret, right? So that's what the Buret looks like. And as the numbers get bigger, or as you go down, the numbers get bigger. So just keep that in mind, because a lot of times people go the opposite way. They say that this is like 0.5 instead of 1.5. Okay. So that's what the Buret looks like. And just make sure you guys write somewhere that as you go down, the numbers get bigger. And each one of those little lines represents 0.1. Okay, so all you got to do is start from this number and just count, and then that'll give you 0.1 increments. Okay, I know this sounds really simple, and you might be wondering, Mr. O, why are you talking about this? And it's because every year people make mistakes on reading the Buret, and I just want to make sure that we're all clear on these things. Okay. All right, so let's talk about how to read the water level. So if you guys notice on the Buret, when there's water in the Buret, you're going to notice that the water level always curves down. Do you guys remember seeing that? Okay, the water level is never straight. It always curves down. Now, the way that you read the Buret is you read it from the bottom of that curve. Okay, so that bottom of the curve is called the meniscus. It's like that little cartilage in your knee, same name. It's called the meniscus. And the bottom of that curve is where you get the number that's on your Buret. Okay. So let's say that this is what our Buret looks like, okay? And then the bottom of the curve is right here. What is the measurement for the Buret? Not 2, not 1. There's 2.1, 2.2. Okay, so where the bottom of the curve touches, that's going to be your measurement. So here, if this was our Buret, it would be 2.2 milliliters. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so just look for the bottom of the curve, and then you just line it up with the marking on the Buret, and that will give you your reading. Okay, let's try another one. So let's say, for example, our Buret looks like this. Okay, and then we wanted to find the measurement. It would be based on this line right here because it's the bottom of the curve. So this would be 1.1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. All right. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, just keep that in mind because that's what one of the things I'll be testing you on today with your group. See if you guys can read the Buret measurements properly. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to the next thing I'll be testing you guys on, but any questions on reading it? Okay, again, just look at the bottom of the meniscus. As you go down, numbers get bigger. Every single one of those lines is 0.1 milliliters. Okay. Okay, so let's get to the other part. So the other thing I'll be testing you guys on today is how much liquid you add from the Buret to the bottom, to the flask on the bottom. So this is our titration setup. And what I'm going to be testing you on is whether you can figure out how much liquid we add from this Buret right here into the flask on the bottom. So the two things you'll need to know is the starting Buret measurement and the final. And so you'll read your Buret. And so let's say, for example, your water level started here, and I want you guys to write this down on the table you guys wrote down. Let's say that our starting number was 0.3 milliliters, okay? So let's say we started there, so we'll write 0.3 milliliters for our starting measurement. Okay, and then let's say that we're all doing the lab together. And then we're draining the liquid. The liquid is going down. And then we end up stopping the liquid and we end up at, I don't know, 2.8 milliliters. Okay, so the final reading is 2.8 milliliters. Okay. So what I'll be testing you on today is how much did we add from the burette up here into the flask if the number was 0.3 and then 2.8. Okay, the operation is super simple. On your calculator, you just do final minus initial. So 2.8 minus 0.5 or 0.3, and then you should get a value of 2.5 milliliters. Okay, so this number right here, the amount you add is just going to be the final minus the initial. Okay, and that's going to give you the amount added. All right, so that's pretty much what I'll be testing you guys on today. I'm going to have you guys read where the water level starts. I'm going to have you drain some liquid. I'm going to have you stop it. And then you just need to tell me how much you added into the flask. Does that make sense? Okay, super easy. We're going to take it really slow with this equipment. I want you guys getting comfortable. Because when we come back from spring break, I'm going to introduce you to the chemicals. And then once we do the titration, it'll be like 2 weeks. For the 2 weeks after break, we'll be working on titrations. Okay. All right, so let me give you guys, let's do 2 more and then we'll get started. So let's say that, again, we're going to start this time at 2.8 milliliters again. And then let's say that we drained the liquid again. And this time we ended up at, I don't know, 27.4 milliliters. Okay. I want you guys to work with your lab partner real quick and figure out the amount that you added from the burette to the flask if you went from 2.8 to 27.4. And then if you guys finish that, I want you guys to try this one, 5.5, and then we end up at 38.6. Okay. So see if you guys can finish these 2 up, and then after that we will go over it, and then I'll give you the instructions for today again, and then we'll get started on the lab test. Okay, so all we got to do is for this one right here, do 27.4 minus 2.8, and so you should get a change of 24.6. Okay, 24.6 milliliters. So if we start at 2.8 and then we drain it until it gets to 27.4, that means you've added 24.6 from the burette into the flask right here. Okay. That's pretty much what the concept is. And then for 5.5, and if we drain it to 38.6, all you guys got to do on your calculator is 38.6 minus 5.5. You should get 33.1. Okay. Any questions on how to do this? Okay, the math is probably the easiest it will be for the entire year. Okay. All right, so let me just go over one tip that you guys can use when you guys are reading your burette. So some of you guys might notice today when you're doing the titrations that it's kind of hard to see those little lines on the burette. So if you put like a piece of paper behind it, that's just kind of a tip. It might make it a lot easier to be able to read each of those little lines. So if you're ever in doubt and you want to be precise, which you probably do on the test today, just put a piece of paper behind it. You'll be able to read the markings a lot better. Okay. All right, so for the rest of class, I'm gonna give you guys about 10 minutes if you guys want to go to the burettes to practice reading it, draining it, getting comfortable working with the equipment again. I know that it's been a couple days since we did it. And so just work with your group, see if you guys can read the measurements and calculate how much you drop it. So I'll give you 10 minutes to work on that. And after that, I'm gonna start calling groups up and then to take the burette measurement test. So that's what we'll be working on today. And then while you're waiting for me to call you up, or if you finish early, there's an assignment on Canvas called LTA assignment. It's 4 titration calculation problems, so you guys can work on that, and that will be due. So that'll be your classwork for today, okay? So I'll give you the rest of the class period to work on that. Let me know if you guys got any questions. In about 10 minutes, I'm going to start calling groups up.